Your credit score doesn't matter. I repeat, your credit score does not matter. Why does it not matter? Because the banks are looking at your credit score and they're making decisions on your lending application or your consumer credit application. They're not looking at your score. They're looking at your credit report, how long accounts have been open, how you maintain those accounts, have you had late payments on said accounts. So your actual score itself doesn't matter, which is exactly why someone with a 700 credit score can get denied and someone with a 600 can be approved for the exact same product, because it doesn't matter what your score is. It matters what's on your actual credit report. If your score fluctuates, it goes up 30 points, goes down 20 points. That's what's supposed to happen. Your credit score is supposed to fluctuate. No one has a set credit score until they get to like the 800s, 850 range.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Too many of you guys are obsessing about the credit score while undermining yourself all the while by not understanding it's what's in or on your report that matters. So today, you're going to learn what it is that you need to be focusing on to make sure that when you are ready to step onto the housing ladder and approach a lender, you can do so with confidence, because you know the behaviors that you will be implementing as a result of watching this video. You will have the highest scores possible at that time. My name is Robert, and on this channel, we simplify the home loan process. Let go. Your payment history accounts for 35 to 40% of what the score will represent. Your utilization, specifically your credit cards or revolving lines of credit, how you utilize those cards is very important. So depending on your math, these two are the chiefs, if you will, the chief things that you want to master when looking to have the highest credit score that you possibly can. Okay. Payment history. What is that? Whoever extends credit to you and you borrow money. I cannot express the importance of you making your payment on time, all the time, every time. This step, like most steps, are overlooked and not taken seriously. But to have good credit and good credit behavior or a representative score, you got to make your payments on time. And so we want to slow down here and ask yourself, why? Here's my question mark. Why are you not able to make your payments on time if you're someone who has struggled with that? And the answer leads to income, or your documentation habits are not that good. And so the documentation or keeping up with things is easily fixed with all of the technology and the things that we have out here today to help remind you. Auto pay, reminders on your mobile devices. There's ways to easily get this one handled. But if your issue is lack of income, that's something that you have to work at to increase the amount of monies that you have coming in. What most people do when they're having money problems, the easiest thing to do is look at the budget and find out where we can get rid of things that aren't necessities in order to increase more money in your month. Okay. But these two things are things that people that have lower scores struggle with. And the credit score is what those people hyper focus on. And it's backwards. When your money's right and you have good processes and systems in place where you can pay on time, all the time, every time, this credit score will be the highest that it could be. Facts. Now, the next portion in these first two sections that really dictate what the score is going to represent is how do you utilize credit cards. Over the last 10 years, there's been this huge push for people to get access to credit. Well, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's bad if you're getting access to credit and using it on consumption type items. You're watching this channel because you're wanting to get onto the housing ladder so that those monies, those inputs that you're putting into something that you need, housing, it has a forced savings account that's attached to it. And so credit is good when we use it to leverage things that increase in value or provide a forced savings account or provide a return. People that are on the lower end of the credit score mix, they focus on the credit score, but they utilize the credit that they have incorrectly. This utilization accounts for 20 to 30% of your score that you're looking at. Here's the deal. 9% maximum, 9% of whatever the available credit limit is that you have. And a lot of you guys have to stop focusing on trying to get so many trade lines. All you need is one. You need one revolving line of credit, okay? You need one installment line of credit, and then you need time. Time tells all, okay? And so that segues into the history, right? We could put like a clock here. This is time, okay? And then the mix is what we just talked about. Credit card, we'll say Amex, and it doesn't just type car. I'm not a great drawer. Car, student loan, what have you. Those are installment loans. That's a great credit mix. If you have 2 credit cards and 3 installment loans, and they've reported for a 24-month period, and you made your payments all the time, on time, every time, and you utilize those 2 credit card balances that you have, you never exceed 9% of the available credit limit, you're going to have a high score, guaranteed. But when you're trying to cheat, if you will, skip the line and not deal with your documentation or your systems and the income that you have, and you're trying to game the system with all of these hacks, what happens is you lose more money because you have somebody online telling you that they got to play. And the play is to get in your pocket. Right? Now, you could believe what you want to believe. You could not believe. I'm just telling you what it is. And so these are things that I see and I deal with on a daily basis. Too many of you are focused on the credit score. One other thing I want to say before we move forward, in the video that we just watched, a very poignant statement was made, and it was this: your credit score moves. Think of it as blood pressure. When I was a pharmaceutical rep way back in the day, one of the disease states I dealt with was hypertension. And they used to call your blood pressure, hypertension, high blood pressure, the silent killer. If you look at a graph or a chart, your scores move. There's a rhythm to them. You want them to move with that rhythm, but over time be moving up and to the right, higher the score. And as he stated, when you're younger, you're probably borrowing more money. You have more activity going on because you have less assets, less monies to pull from. And so you have more trade lines more than likely. And you might see those movements, but that's natural. Okay. And you're worried about the score. As a lender, mortgage lender, I've seen younger folks, 20, 22-year-old with, 757 middle credit score, just got out of college, graduated, right? And not be able to buy a home on their own. And they had a job that said this person will be able to make the payment. Why? They had a thin credit file. So it's about what you've done. Okay, that's more important. The score is just a reflection. It's the fruit of your labor. That's what the score is, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Now, why would you say, why am I listening to this dude? I'm a lender. Let me put it here on the screen. My NM, National Mortgage License Systems number, is 180100. You could type that in the NMLS registry and put my license number in. Been doing this over 20 years. The key is this: when you understand what I just went over, what the first video expressed to you, that it's not about the score, it's about the behavior, the underlining things that create the score, the better off you'll be. You also need to understand this: when it comes to mortgage lending, even with some of the recent updates that a lot of you guys may have heard about, with FHFA saying that we're going to allow the Vantage scoring model and the Trended T model to come in to provide competition to FICO, the incumbent, doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The principles still apply. But for right now, FICO, the big dog, they use different models. They use the FICO version 2, 4, and 5. So it really doesn't matter what models are going to be used because they're going to use the same principles. Have you been making your payments on time, all the time, every time? How long have you been making those payments? And then with the trade lines that you have, the credit mix that you have, how are you utilizing it? Are you a revolver? Do you revolve? Meaning you never pay off the balance? You always carry a balance? Or are you a transactor? Meaning you don't carry balances. You just use the credit for convenience and then you pay it off and you never pay interest and things of that nature. Let me qualify myself a little bit. I pulled these from 3 different institutions. With this institution, as you can see, the score is 850. That's what a lot of you guys like, oh, 850. Okay. All that means is I've paid on time, all the time, every time for a long time. And I know how to utilize the credit cards that I have. I'm not a revolver. Okay. I'm a transactor. Me, everybody in my family, me, my wife, my son, and my daughter, we've been trained to do that. And this is what I'm trying to teach you guys, especially those of you that want to get on the housing ladder. And when it's time to apply to figure out where you really are, you're like, oh, but my score is here and I need my score to go. You're wasting time. You're putting too much into the score. Another thing I want you to focus on is in the mortgage industry right now, the big dogs are still FICO and they use their models 2, 4, and 5. Well, with this first institution where it's showing that my score is 850, they're using the FICO version 9. This is why I have this highlighted. So there's different models even of the FICO score. Anybody that has this type of history hadn't changed. That's a process. And you don't have to get FOMO because at one time I was 20, 25, 30, 35. You see what I'm saying? There's levels. We all can't make moves at the same time. It takes time. But the good thing is if you're younger, you guys now have the information that I didn't have. And you got somebody like me educating you on it. All you have to do is bide your time. And instead of worrying about the score, you should be worrying about increasing your value to the market. This way you can get the things that you need because you'll have more money. And then you can flip, if you will, the trend where I don't need to borrow money. I have money for the consumption items. And the only reason I'm using money is to leverage things such as real estate or in the stock market, things that grow in value or things that I have to use that have a forced savings account attached to it and tax benefits, a home. And so anyway, that's one institution. They use FICO scoring version 9. Here's another one. You know what? It didn't give me the date, but you guys, if you know me, you know ain't no cap over here. No cap in the rap. But 1018, I just want a timestamp because there's always haters. So 1016, 1018, just pulled it off the phone. You guys see the institution here. They're saying at 829. You know what I'm not doing? Oh, it's an 820. It moves. And watch this. They're using a different version. They're using the base. This is based on the Vantage scoring model 3.0. Okay. And so it's 2 different versions, but the theme is the same, right? 850, 829 this is probably fairly accurate. And I'm not tripping about the score because I know the behaviors. If I have the ability to make the payment on this next rental property that I'm looking to buy, if I have the capacity, that's the income, and the collateral, right? Assets that I need for down payment or whatever to carry that debt, then I'm good. I'm Gucci. And so care less about the score. Last institution, I mentioned Amex. Did it show the time? So here we go. Same thing, 1017. So 1817. I got them out of order, but there's my name for those of you that like to, be petty. But nonetheless, here we are. This is the FICO scoring model 8. So it just so happens that's what went down. So we got the FICO scoring model 8, Vantage 3, and then the FICO scoring model 9, but they all saying roughly the same thing. And what they're saying is this is a transactor, okay, that knows how to handle the utilization. I'll just call it that. I'll do it like that. The utilization, and he's been doing it for a long time. So this is why every time I turn around, somebody's trying to tell me, hey, you could borrow some money. I don't want to borrow your money. I don't need to borrow your money. And it took me time to get there. I want to encourage you. It don't have to take you as long if you'll listen. That's what you guys got to learn how to do, is listen and implement. Now, there's another video that I want you to see to just put a bow on what I just went over, because I just don't want you to hear it from me. I understand that some people hear or receive differently from other people. So check this next video out so he can put a bow on what the first video and I just try to establish.
Credit scores don't really matter, and I need for you guys to understand that it's deeper than that. A credit score is essentially just a sneak peek for the lender. It's just for them to get a glimpse of what your financial situation looks like. Depending on what it is that you're applying for, let's say it's an apartment. If you have a 700 credit score, you're just gonna get instantly approved. But if you're applying for something like an American Express credit card, having just a 700 credit score is not gonna matter. They're going to look at your credit profile. Now, your credit profile is everything that makes up your credit score. Your payment history, your debt to income ratio, the amount of debt that you're already in, your credit age, how many accounts you have. All of those things and some more make up your credit profile. This is something I learned early on because I had like a 750 credit score at the age of 18 trying to get car loans, but couldn't get approved because I've never ever had a car loan. This is why you may see someone get approved for something with a lower credit score versus someone with a higher credit score. Somebody with a 640 credit score might have had already 5 auto loans, 100% on-time payment history on all of those loans, get approved for a vehicle that's $85,000 versus someone with a, 720 credit score that has never had an auto loan, only get approved up to $30,000. The focus should not necessarily be improving your score. It should be clearing up your profile and having a healthy credit profile.
I just wanted him to articulate it because he does a good job. Basically go over what I just said. So this is for two people. If, number one, you are ready to buy a home and you've been working on your credit, okay, and you're like watching a million videos and you're trying to find out if you're ready to go. Well, you need to apply and stop worrying about the score, because you will never understand what the score is until you get with a lender that you know, like, and trust. Why? Because they're using a different model than what you're looking at. And if an inquiry, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying go buck wild having hard inquiries, but if an inquiry is going to tank your scores were never where whatever source is telling you, they were never there. I'll use Vantage 3.0 is notorious for giving false scores to people, especially when you have challenged credit. And it's not necessarily a knock on the Vantage model because they use and look at different things. So this is why you have to get with a lender, because lenders are looking at it for lending purposes. So if that's you and you're stressing yourself out and trying to get a score, remember what the first video stated: your scores move. And what a lot of you don't realize is these creditors and people that you haven't paid in the past, they land and wait. They like a virus. And a lot of times when you pull the credit, okay, and it's a mortgage inquiry, then these folks will pop up, pop. So we're back to the basics, guys. You gotta handle your business now more so than ever, because everything is connected. Now, the second person is the one that you are just starting this process. You really need to glean and listen to what all of us have said here on this video, and you have to establish and set yourself up the right way. Borrowing money is not the key. If you can't pay it back, you're just digging a hole for yourself, because the credit score doesn't matter, but credit is very important. We're in a consumer-based society, and we have the ability to leverage a lot of things. And if you're not in the game that's being played, then you're the one paying for it. If what I said resonates with you and you say, you know what, Robert, I'm ready to move forward, I like to have a conversation with you, I would like to talk to you as well. You can schedule a consultation by clicking the top pinned comment or looking in the description of this video. Watch these next 2 videos as you continue to educate yourself until the time you want to reach out, and stay blessed. Indeed.